Former NDP leader Tom Mulcair joining me from Montreal today. Hello, Tom.
Hi there, Jennifer.
So what do you make of Mr. Singh becoming his party's critic on Indigenous matters and intergovernmental affairs, among other things?
Well, that was very helpful to hear him say something that strong about the decision by the Trudeau Liberals to once again delay paying the compensation that is required to be paid to First Nations youth after that series of decisions by the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. So I'm sure they'll be heartened to hear one very strong voice in their favor. At the same time, there are other issues involving human rights, including Quebec's Bill 21, that are also in the news. And during the campaign, Mr. Singh wouldn't say that he would fight Bill 21. Of course, Mr. Trudeau won't. He said he might, but he still hasn't, and it was in court yesterday. So these are big issues for human rights in Canada, and right now, I think Canadians are really left wanting in terms of having anybody to champion human rights right now.
In terms of Charlie Angus being moved out of that position, because he was a very vocal and effective minister, shadow cabinet minister on that file, he's going to move to income equality and affordability. Is that a good move for the NDP?
Those are great fits for Charlie Angus. I mean, yes, he's for years, long before anybody was talking about the crisis in some of the First Nations communities around James Bay on the Ontario side, Saskatchewan among them. Charlie Angus was in there in every sense of the word, explaining to Canadians just how bad those third world conditions were, and it was so heartfelt. But at the same time, Charlie has worked on social issues like housing, like inequality for so many years. He's going to bring that powerful voice to those files. I have no doubt that will also allow a light to shine on those areas that Canadians don't like looking at. You know, there's still so much inequality in our country. Charlie's going to be a powerful voice there, as he was on First Nations Right. Yeah. I think he's going to do great.
Okay. Let's focus a little bit on Mr. Scheer, because he also named his shadow cabinet today. But we seem now, in hindsight, Tom, is the feeling among some Conservatives that Andrew Scheer snatched defeat from the jaws of victory?
I've probably got a bit more empathy than most for this type of situation. Right. Been there, done that.
Yes.
But I have to say that Mr. Scheer is going to have to be a little bit more careful how he navigates. Over the weekend, fired a couple of key aides who had brought him through the campaign. He could have easily waited till the Christmas holidays, but people around him went out of their way to try to make him look tough by doing it. He didn't give them a chance to quit. He fired them. Come on, you know, he was the leader throughout that. He's got to assume the bulk of the responsibility. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a leader. And so I think that Andrew Scheer has great qualities. He had a lot of trouble in the campaign, having to do often with his own very admirable personal beliefs. But when you want to be the leader of the whole country, you have to expect to have a leader who respects everyone's rights, including lesbians and gays' rights not to be discriminated against, including a woman's right to choose. He just couldn't communicate that. And right now he's paying a price. He's being squeezed on the right because a lot of right-wing groups are saying he didn't go far enough for them. And he's being squeezed by the more moderate, progressive members of the party who are saying, you're still too far in the past. You're never going to be able to get us to the finish line. So he's really going to be under a lot of pressure between now and April. He will get a chance to shine next week. He's strong in the House. He'll do well in question period. He'll have good, strong questions. He'll hold Mr. Trudeau to account. I don't know if it's going to be enough, frankly, Jennifer.
30 seconds left, Tom. And as a former leader, when you start to hear a whisper campaign like that, because that's what it seems to be coming to, and it will likely grow momentum unless the holidays give a bit of reprieve. But if it seems a party is starting to come, you know, a little bit apart, does it behoove a leader to fall on his sword and gracefully step back?
I think that Mr. Scheer is going to do exactly what I did, which is to take it to his membership. And, of course, the result for me in Edmonton had a lot more to do with pipelines and oil policy in Canada than anything else. So I'll get a chance to write more about that one day. But with regard to Mr. Scheer, he got more votes than the Liberals. He brought up their seat count quite a bit. The Liberals have been brought down to minority situations. So he deserves fair recognition for that. It's just not enough. But the other thing that's missing here in the formula, in the whole analysis, okay, so who's there? Who's the challenger? Who's the champion who's going to come in and take his place? I don't see who that person is. One of Andrew Scheer's problems was that his French wasn't good enough, but it was certainly enough French to get through the debates. I'm looking at the other people who are being touted. Yes. Most of them don't speak French, and they would never be able to do the job. So
interesting.
We'll see who they come up with.
We will indeed. Great insight, as always. Appreciate your time, Tom. Thank you.
All the best, Jennifer.
CTV News political commentator and former NDP leader.